Okay. Let me bring in Willis before I bring in
let me just say
Willis, there's something interesting that Alwale is raising before I give you a chance to respond.
Yes.
That even if, and I like being practical, so the bipartisan team, they've spoken and they've agreed, okay, fine, let the servers be opened. Then what? They don't have the mandate to order.
You see, number one, the question that they are raising, I don't believe that they're prosecuting a petition in the bipartisan talks. One thing that we must all agree, and even others, Safina will demand of it, you must take stock of the technology that has been deployed in the elections. Okay. So even part of opening those servers is to make sure that you're taking stock of the technology that was deployed the last elections to find, and this is in the elections technology regulations, to find ways in which you can improve on that technology. I believe a question as to who is present or not, that's a question that can only be handled by the courts and the parliaments of Kenya. But there's something interesting which I wanted to point out. Senator Alwale is saying is approbating and reprobating at the same time. On the one hand, he has said that they have no role whatsoever with the selection panel. But then he's telling us, President Ruto has told the bipartisan, the selection panel, to wait. And they've waited, no work has gone on as they wait for Azimio. I mean, we have to choose. It's either these people are taking instructions from President Ruto, or they're not. They're taking instructions from the law. But as it is, and corroborated by a senator, these people are actually under the control and direction of President Ruto, who is a major player in the next elections, whichever time it shall be called.
Yes,
so that what we are saying is very simple. And I'll say this, I'm not in Azimio, but I'll say this. The quest for a free and fair election is not an Azimio quest. It may even be in the best interest of Senator Alwale that we make sure that we come up with a more formidable and more credible electoral management body that will guarantee all Kenyans, irrespective of their political party affiliations, a free and fair process. But where we are starting today, as I sit here, what I've gone out with from that has been said about the selection panel, in that panel is receiving calls from President Ruto, when to work and when to stop. Okay. And they have stopped for the last 2 months because they received the calls from President Ruto. So probably they've equally received calls from the same president to continue working.
Yeah.
The next step will be he will give them calls as to who to nominate.
Okay.
And then he, as the player, decides who becomes a commissioner.
So,
what is that?
So, Willis, again, I like being practical. So, for example, there's a total of 215 applicants who have expressed interest in replacing former IBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati. Are you saying out of all these 215, we can't find a Kenyan who's worth this job?
The problem is not finding a Kenyan. The problem is the Kenyan to be found. Because what we are being led towards is a process where, if you ask me, one political group, and probably I believe it is the Kenya Kwanza group, they've already found the Kenyan, so they're taking you through the rigmarole, just a charade that will give you that Kenyan to become the chairperson and a commissioner of the IBC. What we are simply saying, because we have many Kenyans of integrity who can do this job, what we are simply saying, and even as we'll share in that conversation, let's have a process of selecting a commission and a chairperson that is free and fair, that is open and transparent, that the outcome is not predetermined. The outcome is an outcome that will instill confidence in the electoral process. Otherwise, remember, President Kibaki in 2007 equally said, the law is very clear, we'll use the law to choose an election commission. And he used the law. The consequence was an election that was widely disreputed, that even when an independent review of that election was done by Kriegler Commission, the verdict was one. We cannot know whoever won or lost this election. We are simply saying, don't go that route. Just to go, and Senator Alwale, I think, was in the Windsor group.
Yes, I was.
Of 2017.
I was.
Again, they went through a process, and at the tail end, in fact, the Windsor talks, which Senator Alwale participated in, was discussing amendments to improve the elections process, how to come up with a free and fair election. And he will tell you that the weakest link in that Windsor process was at the tail end, when they decided to confer on Uhuru Kenyatta the responsibility to make the ultimate decision. You give him 3 names to choose one to be president, to be chairperson of the commission. You give him 17 names to choose, 9 names to choose 6. The end result was the selection panel then gave President Uhuru, the person who was number 1, Mr. Olekina, the person who was number 2, Rosemary Odede, and the person who was number last, Wafula Chebukati. In the interviews, he was number 9 out of 9. They gave President Uhuru to select one of the 3 to be the chairperson. What did President Uhuru do? He didn't choose number 1, who was Olekina, the Malindi lawyer. He didn't choose Rosemary, who is now the chairperson of Kenya National Commission of Human Rights. He chose Wafula Chebukati. What do you think informed that decision? Being a player in the elections, of course, he may have decided to use extra legal means to arrive at a verdict. Okay. So that what we are simply saying, Senator Alwale, I will advise, you've gone through this process before, and you've seen what it led to. At least for once, let's just agree that the referee needs to be an independent referee. Me, I was a victim of Wafula Chebukati was receiving calls from mother quarters.
Okay, that cannot be verified.
But he was appointed by Uhuru.
Yes, I agree. I'm not saying. I agree.
No verification. But Okello, you haven't spoken for a while. Then I'll come to you.
Trevor,
yes.
Trevor, I'm leaving Royal Media Studios. A very